Alright guys, so today I'm going to be doing CHING number 43. As always, I do have some stuff to talk about at the end of the video. So we're going to start in where I left off, which was a top by BLEEKER and MCDOUGAL. This sold for $13.99, and if you have been watching all of my CHING videos, this shirt came from one of those garbage bags full of clothes I purchased on Facebook Marketplace. The next item was a camel ornament. This thing was so cute. I didn't really know much about it. I got it at a yard sale not that long ago. I paid $1 for it and it sold for $12.99, and that did go to a subscriber. The next two items went to the same person. So they purchased a pink torrid blazer that sold for $11.99, and then also a tank top by a company called JUDITH that sold for $14.99. The JUDITH tank top came from the Facebook garbage bags of clothes, and the torrid blazer probably came from a thrift store. The next item was one of my aunt's vintage toys. This one was for a mask toy. It was called the Condor. It was like a motorcycle slash helicopter type thing. That sold for $93.50. So this is the second mask toy that I have sold for her, and there's definitely collectors out there for these mask toys. They definitely have both sold very, very high. I've been putting them up on auction, and they are definitely ending at great money considering. So the next item is a SPODE Christmas plate. This came with a lot of plates that Eric had won at the auction. We only wanted just one plate. It was a Space Odyssey plate that hasn't sold yet. So then it was just like these other random plates. There were some Wedgwood plates mixed in. They're not really worth much, unfortunately. So this plate, I'm just glad that it sold. It sold for $9.99. I'm actually surprised that it sold, so that's awesome. The next item was a lot of Elizabeth Taylor perfume. So these came from various places, probably yard sales as well as just in auction boxes, and that sold for $19.99. Next was a vintage FENDI purse. I recently got this at a full bag rummage sale. So that sold for $59.99, and I actually, with this one, I was pretty confident that it was authentic, but I wasn't like totally sure. So I went onto a Facebook group, and I'll leave a link to the Facebook group down in my description. So if you come across any kind of purses, or I think they also do some accessories, but they're kind of particular with what brands they authenticate. It doesn't cost anything, but their authentications won't like hold up. You know, if someone would try to say that it's not authentic or something like that, unfortunately, since it's not like a paid authentication, it wouldn't like hold up against, you know, someone claiming that it being a fake. But, you know, they definitely know their stuff. So if they say that something is real, I mean, there is a super high likelihood that it definitely is. So I posted pictures of that purse on there, and they did say that it was an authentic vintage FENDI purse. So I just took the chance and listed it, and you know, and like I said, I was pretty confident myself, but I just wanted that like extra little reassurance. So that's a great thing, and not even just for purses or designer items, but just anything in general that you're not quite sure, you know, what it is or what it's worth. There's like tons of Facebook groups out there for just specific things. I know in one of my haul videos, I'm sorry I'm getting off track here, but in one of my haul videos, I had recently purchased an autographed hockey puck from Goodwill, and there's Facebook groups to like identify hockey specific autographs. So it's just definitely check for Facebook groups with anything that you might have questions about, kind of thing. So the next thing that I have was an IZOD golf skort, or you could use it for tennis. Like, it looked like a skirt, but it has shorts underneath type of thing. That sold for $13.99. Probably picked that up at a yard sale. Next, we have a pair of American Eagle sandals. I had these forever and like nobody wanted them. They sold for $5.99. So, you know, a little bit more than what I've gotten for them had I put them out at like a yard sale or something, but I definitely wouldn't pick up American Eagle sandals, I don't think, ever again for resale. Next was a Limoges trinket box. This one was really cool looking. It looked like a chair. That sold for $49.99, and I picked that up at a flea market. I feel like I only paid $2 for it, which is kind of insane. It's one of those instances where I just don't think they knew what they had type of thing. I sold, this one was also one of my aunt's items. This was for a lot of kids' vintage storybooks that came with records. So I had a lot of fun playing all of these and checking them to make sure that they worked and didn't skip. But those sold for $29.99. I sold a vintage purple inflatable Easter bunny. This was brand new in the packaging. That sold for $46. So that was my last inflatable Easter rabbit. I was selling them like hotcakes there for a while. And I picked that up off of Facebook Marketplace. I got like a lot of vintage inflatable Easter rabbits. I sold an Asking Alexandria. This was a band shirt for $14.99, and I think I picked that up at a yard sale for $1. The next item was a plush, a Littlest Pet Shop kitty plush that sold for $15.99. This came in a bag of plushies that I purchased at Goodwill. I think I paid probably $1.99 for the entire bag, and I think I might have been in the same bag that an Angry Birds was in my last CHING, I think maybe. If not, anyway, I paid $1.99 for the bag of plush. Next was a vintage green PIXIE elf. This sold for $12.99, and it went to a subscriber, and this I also purchased recently at a yard sale for $1. A puka necklace that sold for $9.99. This came on a flat of jewelry that I won at the auction. I sold a vintage Reba McEntire shirt for $29.99. So I think I might have had one sell in my last CHING as well. And that came from a yard sale for $1. Next was a Torrid floral tank top that sold for $22.99, and that was probably from the thrift store. This next item was a beaded purse. It had a vintage style look to it. It was really, really pretty. I picked this up at, I'm pretty sure it was at a yard sale, and that sold for $19.99. This next item was a kind of porcelain stuffed vintage doll. Her hands, feet, and head were made of porcelain, but her body was stuffed, and it was stuffed with like old newspaper clippings and stuff like that. It was really neat. I got that at a yard sale. I probably paid $1 or $2 for it, and she sold for $25.99. I sold a cami by the company Avenue for $12.99. Again, garbage bag of clothes from Facebook Marketplace. Next item was another shirt. This is by IZOD. It's cold shoulder top. This was so pretty. I had it for a little while, lots of watchers, but no one was buying it. It sold for $12.99, and I think that came from a fill-a-bag rummage sale. Next I have this was so cool looking. It was a hand-carved lock box. Like, you could actually lock it. It was made out of sandalwood, and it was like intricately carved of the Taj Mahal. Very, very pretty. That sold for $39.99, and I picked that up at a yard sale. I think I might have paid $5 for it. I can't remember, but it's definitely not something I picked up for like a quarter or 50 cents type of thing. Next was a shirt by a company called Brett Johnson. This sold for $59.99. I found it at Goodwill a while back. I saw it, I felt the material just felt really, really nice. It still had the tags attached. I had never heard of the brand before, so I decided to look it up because it felt like a quality shirt, and it ended up being a very like expensive designer that I had never heard of before, so that was a good sale. Next was a set of Echo Arrowhead knives. These sold for $119.99. I lotted them up all together. I've had these since I think last summer, and again they had like lots of watchers, but it took a little while for them to sell. I mean, I remember when I got them, I found them, and I didn't know anything about the knives. I didn't even know like they were like hunting knives or anything like that. I just thought they were like fancy kitchen kind of knives, and Eric had been saying like he wanted some nice kitchen knives, so I picked them up, just, you know, was gonna give them to him, and then I looked them up and I was like, oh no, we're gonna be selling these. But side note, he did get some really nice kitchen knives, the ones that he actually wanted, not that long ago. So he did end up getting his knives. Next item was an Adrian Landau scarf that sold for $7.99, and that actually came from the Goodwill bins. It's been so long since I went to the Goodwill bins. Then we have a Paul Sebastian cologne, and this was lotted up. I put it with 2 Paul Sebastian deodorants. The deodorants were brand new. These belonged to my father. He was the type of person, like if he'd get like gift sets and stuff, you know how some gift sets have like the body washes and deodorants and whatnot, and he was just, you know, only really wanted the cologne type of thing. So the deodorants are actually hard to find in this fragrance, so that's probably what kind of sold the lot, and that sold for $31 and a penny. Next was a men's Bugatti button-up dress shirt that sold for $13.99. Had this for a while. Bugatti is a nice brand. I mean, they make really nice men's dress shirts, but for whatever reason, that one took a while to sell. Next, I have an H&M log gingham tank top that sold for $5.99. I wasn't even going to list this because I knew it really wasn't worth anything. But I just decided to go ahead and list it anyway, so thankfully it did sell. And that actually came from, Eric and I had purchased a storage unit before, and there were some clothes in there, and that came out of there. And the last thing that I have for this cha-ching was a Weekend by Max Mara silk button-up shirt that sold for $29.99, and that came from a fill-a-bag rummage sale. So that leads us to issues that have arisen, you know, on eBay lately for me. So if you guys watched my last cha-ching, I had shown you a pair of Ralph Lauren Polo sneakers that someone had purchased and wanted to return because they said that they were brown instead of blue. I had them listed as blue. So I did accept the return, and I got them back, and they are definitely blue. They are not brown at all. I even like had them out in the sunlight, like really like looking, trying to see some form of brown, and they're not brown. So it might have just been a case of like buyer's remorse or something like that, but regardless, they were returned, and I did relist those. And then the only other thing I really have to talk about, oh, I did want to make mention, I feel like I've been saying in each of my cha-chings that clothes have been selling really well. I still feel like they've been selling really well. I had a lot of clothes sales in this cha-ching, and the last couple, I think the last 3 things I packed up were all clothing items as well. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and this kind of got me agitated, I actually made a post about it in one of the eBay Facebook groups because it bugged me so much. So I ordered some shipping supplies on eBay. That's where I normally get a lot of my shipping supplies. So I purchased some poly mailers. They're just like the mailers that don't have like the bubble in them. So just regular poly mailers. Normally I buy my poly mailers and stuff like that off of eBay. Has their own store on eBay, just of nothing but shipping supplies, and I normally purchase from them because the shipping is quick. I get what I pay for, and every quarter, if you have a store, they give you $25 to spend in the store on shipping supplies. So, you know, you pay a little more because it has the eBay brand, like the logo on stuff, but I don't mind paying a little bit more because, as I stated, I get what I pay for and it comes quickly. So I decided to be a little cheap, I guess, and go hunting for some poly mailers and buy them from someone else. So I don't even know if I'm gonna say the name of the seller that I purchased these from. I didn't know whether or not to you know, make that public knowledge, like throwing them under the bus, but this was kind of like BS. So I got the order of my poly mailers, and the first thing that I noticed, and I'll post two pictures, the two pictures I took that I posted on the Facebook group. So the first thing I noticed was that there was a media mail label on the box, and the box was wrapped in like a bag. So a media mail label. Obviously, poly mailers are not medium mail. Those of you who are sellers know medium mail is like the cheapest shipping that you can get, but it's only for media items like books, CDs, DVDs, video games, that kind of thing. Those are like the only types of things that you can ship using medium mail. Otherwise, it's illegal, right? So the seller, who is not a new seller, they have like 30-some thousand feedback, so they've been around for a while. They're not new. This wasn't a mistake on their part. They knew what they were doing. So I was like, okay, that's weird. So I sliced the bag, and underneath that is a priority box. That's another big no you can't do, is to use the priority boxes. They're free, and thankfully they've been free for a really long time, but if people continue to abuse that, I fear that at some point down the road we might have to pay for those, which is gonna suck royally. So they had the poly mailers in a priority box, shipped media mail. So right there is two horrible things, but you know, I'm the type of person, like, whatever, I got my item, so, you know, everything's okay, even though, you know, it made me roll my eyes. So I had my roll of poly mailers sitting on the counter, and Eric's like, how many poly mailers did you buy? I said 200. He's like, that doesn't look like 200. And I didn't really think anything of it. They were all rolled up and like rubber banded together, and like, I don't even know like how Eric realized that there wasn't 200 there. So I was like, okay, well, you know, I'll count them, you know, just to see, like, why wouldn't there be 200 here? That's what I ordered. I counted out those poly mailers, and they sent me 101 poly mailers. So they did not include 99 of the poly mailers that I purchased. So that was like the icing on the cake after the media mail, the priority box, and then not sending me the correct amount. Like, it makes me wonder if they're constantly doing this and people aren't taking the time to like count out their stuff. Like, they're just obviously assuming that what they purchased is correct, and that's how many there are. So I definitely feel like the seller knows what they're doing, and they are just trying to really take advantage of not only people who are purchasing stuff from them, but also the postal system. So I am never gonna buy anything from them again. I opened a return and I shipped those poly mailers back to them because I didn't even at that point want them to send me the 99. Like, they had their chance and they ruined it. Like, I wanted my money back and I'm spending my money somewhere else. My money's going somewhere else. So that's exactly what I did. I haven't been refunded yet because I don't know if they actually were delivered quite yet. But it's just something like to definitely be cautious about stuff. If you are purchasing things from eBay, don't just assume that, you know, your stuff is accurate. If you're buying something and there's like a quantity of something that you're buying, definitely don't be afraid to count out your items to make sure that they're all there, because I just have this like very strong feeling that, you know, they've done this numerous times and it wasn't an accident. I just don't think it was an accident. But that is everything for this cha-ching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You'll have to let me know if you have had any kind of horror stories like that from purchasing something on eBay, that you just didn't receive the correct item or as much of an item as you were supposed to get. It's very frustrating. I couldn't believe it. My mind was pretty blown about that one. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I will see you next time.